We got to make sure to hit all the big games here. And it wouldn't be the same without me checking out Cryptozoic.
It wouldn't be the same. Now, they did not have one of the ones we were anticipating, which
Two of
was
them.
two of them. One which I'm shocked wasn't there. We'll have to look back for it, which was the Attack on Titan deck building game or the board game version.
Yeah, this really disappointed me because last year we actually got to play the demo they had. Like, it was very prototype of the board game, and I loved it.
Yeah, so hopefully that's coming around soon. But we did get to see two other ones. What should we tackle first?
Well, let's tackle the first one we actually played.
Okay, Cryptozoic recently released the Rick and Morty Total Recall game. Now they have a follow-up, the Mr. Meeseeks Party Box. Again, a lighter style of game. This time it's kind of a dice game. Definitely a party dice game, I would say.
Oh, yeah.
Probably drinking would improve it.
I'd almost say if you're with a group of people who don't like drinking, they might not like this.
Basically, you take a task and you have to roll, say, 4 fours or a pair or something like that. And if you roll it, you're successful. If you don't roll it, you have to take a Mr. Meeseeks card, and if you prefer, you can hit the button and there will be a sound clip. And Mr. Meeseeks will let you re-roll a die, some kind of power, and those actually stay from turn to turn if you don't succeed on that goal. If you still don't succeed on the goal, you have to take a dare card, which will instruct you to do some goofy activity of some kind.
Now, here's the thing. That dare pile is not like the game Quelf where we have, like, pretend to be a gnome for 30 seconds. This deck can hit hard. Some of the examples that we came across was take out your phone, go to Google image search, and you must image search the first thing someone said. Now, you and I were like, we're at a convention, we shouldn't say anything. But the person next to him, who's like his friend, just straight out porn.
He shouted, yeah. Something along those lines. So that's fun if you think your gaming group will get into that. This is a Rick and Morty game. It is, I'm sure, on the box going to say 17 plus, if not 18 plus. They're not shying away from that, Cards Against Humanity style of level of profanity and vulgarity. I told the story about the time I pooped my pants.
Mm-hmm.
It was true, as instructed by the card. So, I mean, that's really the game. There's not much more to explain to it than that. It pretty much was what I expected it to be.
You also forgot to mention, you get hurt if you have too many Meeseeks.
Right, you do have a health, so you actually can be knocked out, and it's...
So you expected to tell me how you actually poop
more or less. I mean, I knew it'd be goofy, maybe not to that extent.
I mean, I know you tell me regularly, but I was wondering if you were telling me shit.
But overall, I mean, if your group really loves these kind of goofy party games, or like we said, if you know someone who loves Rick and Morty, it makes a neat souvenir.
Well, yeah, that's the thing to me. You're not buying a game.
Right.
What you're doing is you're paying for two things.
They should put that on the box.
You're buying a game and a prop.
Right.
Like, half of it is that button with the sound clips.
It's a prop with a bonus game. It wasn't my kind of thing. And, like, I would have fun playing it once, especially if drunk, but not like, oh boy, rush out and get this. But, I think you know what you're getting. If you like it or not, you know whether you like it. The other one we played far on the other end of the spectrum, also a license, which we talked about even on our show, is the recent Kickstarter project Walking Dead No Sanctuary. Finally got to play it. Prototype components. But basically, you're the characters of The Walking Dead. It's cooperative. You're on a board. You have different objectives. And you're collecting items. You're killing zombies. You have special powers. We've talked about the leader mechanic, which we can go into a little bit more depth about. But I guess, I'll the way that I... felt the game could be kind of summed up as was sort of a Dead of Winter light. Would you say that that's somewhat accurate or fair? He's got to think about it.
Sort of, but like, here's the thing for me.
Go ahead.
Dead of Winter, because you have your own secret things, I almost feel like there's like 6 goals. It's not light in the sense of like, I feel like it's a light version of it. It just doesn't have as many things going on.
I do think it's less complex.
It's definitely less complex, but I don't mean it's not like if you played Dead of Winter, you've played this. To me, there's a little, like, both of them, I guess, have sort of that
same kind of vibes.
Yeah.
And to me, some similarity just in the sense that it's cooperative, but there's kind of, there isn't really backstabbing in this, but there is stress of like disagreements and such, and the way that the goals work. But the key differences, maybe go over some of the things that you liked or didn't like about this as it stands alone.
Well, I'm going to say first off, and I think this actually is probably where I think faults at all, it's because of this. I haven't really watched a lot of Walking Dead. So, like, a lot of things, like, I didn't know my character, but I'm like, she sounds like a sniper?
It's funny, because like, when I first sat down, I was like, oh, you're the character nobody likes. But she turned out to be, like, the best one in the game. But yeah, keep going.
But, like, because of that, I think, like, if you are a fan of this, I could definitely see, like, because the way the guy talks, like, I'm always running, I'm like,
right.
Man, he's getting so much enjoyment out of this.
Right, just based on knowing the characters.
Oh, we should also mention, the ours was a very prototype. We did not play with the miniatures. We'll actually be showing some pictures. They have the painted miniatures. They were amazing.
Yeah, the miniatures looked really cool.
So that's like something we didn't get. We should say we didn't get to actually really play with.
When we first just saw from the table, it was like, that's not that impressive with but it's all not final stuff. I have watched The Walking Dead, and yeah, you definitely get some of that more enjoyment. I think if you're a Walking Dead fan, we haven't played the other Walking Dead board games.
No, we
but
have not.
It seems like this is a good, it scratches that itch fairly well. Even if you're more of a hardcore gamer, it gets far enough, I think, that you'll enjoy it with that license.
Well, because one of the things it does, a few things. One, because of the forced leadership passing, and while you may want to hold on to it, if you're the alpha gamer, there came a point where there was no way you could hold on to that.
Well, it's interesting because it doesn't, even when you're the leader, I guess you are kind of dictating what the group does or doesn't do.
Because those two cards do really.
But it's different from typical alpha gamer where you're actually telling people where to go and such. But you kind of there's 3 colors of cards, and the leader sort of decides which color people can play, and if they don't, the leader gets stress.
Another thing I do like in this game, which I think actually is sort of Walking Dead-esque, even though it's full cooperative, you can still be like, yeah, I don't like you.
Right.
Like,
yeah, it's kind of...
Which is, but it isn't like actually a hurdy backside mechanic like Dead of Winter. Like Dead of Winter, I literally think if someone does it, it's an actual backside mechanic.
Right.
In this, it's more like, Jonathan, I just don't like you.
And a lot of times it was just, I just don't have that color card.
Right.
So,
but
like,
I mean,
I'm
particularly
sorry.
the fact that if you could choose, it's not an actual betray mechanic. It's a...
Yeah, for sure. And we only played the very base scenario, so they get more complex as they go.
Right. The guy told us like some of the, I think, advanced ones, like your morale could be much lower, much more things, and you have to think more. And definitely this game, which is a Dead of Winter thing too. There could be that point when you think you're fast track to winning, and then all of a sudden like
yeah, they can come up on you from behind pretty hard. But for me it still was kind of hard to escape. I did feel like Dead of Winter was enough for me. Like, I think the Walking Dead license is what pushes it over the edge. But in spite of that, for me, I do think I did enjoy the game overall, and it does there are a lot of interesting choices each turn in the actions that you decide what to do. It definitely doesn't feel... you're not, for lack of a better term, railroaded into any decisions. You have a lot of options, and some things might be better than others.
Well, I actually will bring up the point. You sort of are a little bit in this sense.
Yeah.
And this is good though, because like you said, Walking Dead. The fact it's Walking Dead is important, and I think that is because we like our games when they have good theme.
Yes.
And like my character, I didn't know it. Did a lot of things involved, like being on top of a building and sniping. You played Rick, and you had a lot of things actually like helping people and protecting them and stuff.
Right, you did actually have those special cards.
Your decks really do try to capture how that character would almost act. Like sure, you could do more running and attacking or something. You sort of get like, yeah, I'm supposed to act like this.
Yeah, I was more. I'm glad you pointed that out, because that's true. Like Daryl had his crossbow. Like you said, you have your sniper.
Like funny, you actually have I think it's attack, intellect and cooperation.
Yes.
And like Daryl rolled only one, because he does not want to cooperate with anyone.
Right, coordinate it was called. Yeah.
Coordinate, yes.
Yes, for how many dice you roll. Then there's all these mechanics for, you get successes or you're hurt by things.
But because of the way that we play cards and choose things, I actually really like it, because it does have some complexity in like, all right, I'm going to move first, and because of that, I'm now in a building, which my thing triggers.
Yes.
Or I'm not in it, so the bad thing doesn't trigger. So there is still, I think, plenty of. It's not they didn't dumb it down for thinking because they think that the Walking Dead audience can.
No, I agree.
I think they still respected the audience.
It does. Every turn is kind of like a little puzzle. You have to figure out the best way to play things out.
Now, the one thing I'm curious about on your thoughts on this, because it was one of the first things you said when we saw it.
Oh, yeah.
Was the board.
Now, I don't know. Now, and I'm sure people who have backed the Kickstarter probably have seen more. Even
it is modular.
Than us. It's
did
modular.
Not know that, yes.
It does look a little. It looks a little bland to me. It's a grid, and it's actually a lot smaller than I expected. It's not how I envisioned that it would look. Again, all prototypes. I mean, in functionality, it turned out to be fine. But just
I'm pretty sure the Ghostbusters is actually the exact same.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. So,
but I think once again, I haven't backed this, and I think the thing that would help push it over once again is if there is a tile that's obviously like, the one that I know from the show, like the Mr. Green, like the city or the farm, like things like that.
It could push it over the edge a little.
And
bit.
a couple other things I think that would also help push it over the edge for Walking Dead, because like for me, this is one of the things that Ghostbusters did, which to me was really important, is they included small guys, like the guy from the video game. Like, what if you could play like the guy from the Walking Dead game, which I know you have raved as one of your favorite games.
Yeah, or if ever
or even scenarios, like special, like even little packs. Yeah. So I think that the Walking Dead's a perfect choice. I think they handled it right. That the way the game plays is, you do feel like it captures the Walking Dead in a way. And while you do call it Dead of Winter Light, I don't take it as an insult as much as some other times.
That's fair. Yeah.
Because I think they made a game that was for people of The Walking Dead to make it feel like The Walking Dead.
Yeah, like there's nothing wrong with being Dead of Winter Light.
You're right.
Like Dead of Winter's a great game, and if you want a lighter version, that's awesome. Like BSG Express, right. Like that can be a great thing. So yeah, in spite of
that's the other thing. Like with Dead of Winter, like even though you can get in some instances even Slayer, it's like I have a dog with a machine gun.
Right.
Like you don't think about it's definitely much more really on the game mechanics. When this really does we want good game mechanics in there, but people should actually feel like they're playing as Rick.
So even though I had some qualms with it, I'd say if you are a fan of the Walking Dead TV show, you will really like this game.
Yes,
I think it does.
I think it does the good balance between show and game mechanic.
Agreed. So Cryptozoic again at it with their licenses. Some hits, some misses, but
and some literally missing.
Oh, nice! But we'll be checking out more of them later.
We got plenty more Gen Con news coming, so you better stay up to date at Roll4Crit at Twitter, as well as Facebook, Instagram, and just subscribing right here.
And, of course, you can find us on our very own website, roll4crit.com/GenCon2016 for all our videos, photos, and more. Stay tuned.